Sat Sri Akal, welcome to I'm a Brown Girl. My name's Amma. On today's episode, I want to talk about marriage and weddings. Over the past 2 years, I've spoken a lot about the pressures and the expectations around marriage and weddings, but I haven't actually spoken about the wedding and the marriage itself and what I actually want. I thought it'd be nice to share since I just finished attending my sister's big fat Pakistani wedding, which was very fun, very intense. I learned a lot, and I feel like I also changed my perspective around wedding and marriage in terms of the ceremony and the event itself. It was very different for me maybe a couple of years ago and the thoughts I had about marriage and weddings. So, just to introduce a theme of today, my perspective on weddings and marriage at the age of 20 was very much I want to be married by 25, kids, house, car, just a typical nuclear family. And that was it. I was also thinking from a very straight lens. I'm 26 now, lesbian, not married, no kids, thriving, happy. However, today's episode is less about my thoughts and opinions and feelings towards weddings and marriage. It's more about the event itself, because that is a whole thing within itself. There's one thing having pressure as a desi girl to get married, and another pressure of how big the wedding needs to be and how much of a facade it is to show people wealth and have these extravagant weddings to just, show off. But is it really needed? Is it really that deep? The pressure of having to have a luxurious wedding and being all flashy has caused people to get into debt. Like, that is the levels that we're talking about. Attending my sister's wedding really changed my perspective on weddings, because growing up as a desi girl, I've always dreamt of having the red lehenga and an extravagant wedding and having all my friends and family there. But as I've grown up, I could not imagine having a big wedding for myself. That thought is quite scary, and I don't want to waste my time, money, or energy on people I haven't spoken to in 25 years. So why would I want them at a big extravagant wedding? I want a really intimate and close wedding where it's just me, my loved ones, and that's it. But the pressures of having a big wedding are still common, and even with my sister, she initially wanted quite a small wedding, but it was her family who was like, no, you're going to get married once, so you might as well have a big wedding. And to be fair, the wedding was one of the best weddings I've ever been to, and it was really fun. But is that what she really wanted? Did she really want a big wedding? Would she have preferred something small and intimate? Maybe, I don't know. But it did have me thinking that there is no way my wedding is going to go based off of what other people want. I am definitely going to elope. I might have a small party with my loved ones, and that is about it. But the idea of throwing a massive wedding and spending time with people I couldn't care less for, not a bit of me. If you are desi and you're listening to this episode and have had the pressures around weddings, forget the marriage or finding someone aspect of the expectation that you have on yourself, but the wedding in itself and how big it needs to be. Maybe asking yourself, do you even want a big wedding? Do you want to invite people you couldn't care less for? Is having a big wedding something you really want? Would you rather something more small and intimate? And having stronger boundaries to tell your family that, no, you don't want to have a big wedding, or you do want to have a big wedding, or whatever it may be. It's just interesting to actually question yourself on that, because I always thought I'd have a big wedding, and I most definitely am not going to do that. So I did a bit of research around the costs of a desi wedding in the UK. So for a guest list of around 300 to 500 people, the starting cost of a venue is around 15 to 20k. You've also got the wedding outfits and the jewelry. And with desi weddings, exchanging gold is very common and wearing gold is very common as well. So gold is very expensive to start with, but the wedding outfit within itself, starting costs are £800 plus, and that's on the cheaper side. So that's one thing to consider. Photography and videographers, 2,500 to 5,000 plus. You've also got dol drummers, which are the big Indian drums that they play at most desi weddings. They're really loud, bring up the energy. One of the best dol companies that I know of, their starting cost is about 3,000. Absolutely extortionate. Yes, they bring up the vibe and the wedding will be memorable, but that's really expensive and another cost to consider. You've also got the decorations, which again, absolutely extortionate. That is not usually included in the hall price, and that's another couple of grand. It's one thing saying you're going to have a wedding, and it's another thing having to actually organize it and realize that there's so many hidden things that you forget about that need to be paid for. The list just always gets longer and longer. And that's one thing that I learned from my sister's wedding. An intimate wedding of about 100 to 150 people can cost anywhere between 20 to 40 grand. A mid-size wedding of about 200 to 300 people can cost anywhere between 50 to 75 grand. And with a luxury wedding with 300 people plus, it can cost anywhere between 80 to 120K. That's a house deposit. The way I think of it is, if I wouldn't sit down with one of my relatives and buy them a £10 McDonald's meal and not have a 30-minute conversation with them, I'm not going to invite them to a wedding where each meal is going to cost around £50 to £150 per head and they have to spend their whole day there. Why would I want them at my wedding? It's not happening. If money was no object and I could spend as much as I wanted, I still would not spend that much money on a wedding. I want something really small and intimate, and I don't want to spend time with people I couldn't care less for. Recently as well, I've been spending a lot of time with my mum, and as typical desi mum fashion, she's asking me about, when you're going to get married? Have you found someone? When you're going to have a wedding? Blah, blah, blah. Anyway, for my sister's wedding, I ordered a lehenga, which is an Asian dress, super long, heavily embroidered, amazing jewelry to go with it. I felt and I looked beautiful on the day. If you want to stalk what I looked like, go on my main Instagram. You can find it on my Instagram bio on my podcast page. And then it's Amani. And you can just look up my Instagram highlights if you really want to look. Anyway, I was saying to my mum that if I had it my way, I would order every single lehenga in that shop in Punjab. And she was like, if you decide to get married, I'll buy you every single lehenga. Tell me whatever you want. I'll buy you anything you want. I was saying, no, that's not the point. I just want to have the lehengas to wear. And she was like, no, I'm not going to let you have all these lehengas if you're not going to get married. And I was like, that's not the point. Even though it was a very lighthearted conversation, it did have me thinking that, damn, like, if I decide to get married, my mum would buy me every single lehenga that I want. That is quite tempting, but not tempting enough. When my mum got married 25 years ago, she had a very simple wedding, met my dad 2 weeks prior, decided to get married in the temple. I think they had a really simple reception where they have like food and drinks and all of that. And then my mum went to my dad's house and that was it. It was just done in a day, I think. It wasn't like 4, 5, 6 events, which is interesting. And it makes me wonder that because some of our parents never got the big fancy grand weddings, do they want to relive that through their kids? I can understand that my mum wants me to get married so that she can get all dressed up and talk about my wedding to her friends and maybe live through me a little bit, which is sweet and I understand, but I can't fulfill that expectation for her. I've already told both my parents that please do not have any expectations on me to have a big fat desi wedding, let alone marry a man. So they already understand that and they will jokingly say it to me, but I know they will never put that heavy pressure on me because I've already expressed that boundary very clearly. The one aspect that I did love about my sister's wedding was how all the family was together. And, you know, you never really know when you can have family from abroad in one room, enjoying company, eating good food, having a good dance. It's not an everyday thing. So it was nice that everyone was able to come together. I think my desire to have a small wedding is because I really value privacy when it comes to my romantic relationships. And I believe in evil eye. I don't want to have a big wedding where there's a chat shit auntie giving me evil eye and she's just there and I don't even like her. I wouldn't want that. I'd want something really dreamy and in a nice field, maybe like haystacks with fairy lights and just all my friends and family together dancing. Some DJ sets as well would be great. I want to have an amazing DJ night where there's just good music, good vibes. I definitely want to have no alcohol. I don't really drink, so I'd probably have like curated mocktails, something like that. But the company and making sure that there are people there who genuinely love me. And I want it to be intimate. I want to have a wedding planner so I'm not stressed. The Virgo in me doesn't need to always plan everything in my life. My wedding is one thing that I do not want to be stressed at. I'll find it so funny if I turn 30 and I'm like, no, I want a big fat desi wedding. I'll be so surprised. I really would. I wonder if I'll post it. I wonder if I'll have more than 150 people. Do I even know 150 people? Probably not. I don't know. It'll be interesting. The one thing I do know is I'll be marrying a woman. The importance of choosing your happiness, especially on your wedding day, is paramount. now that I've grown up, I've seen a couple of my desi friends have big weddings because their families wanted them, not because they wanted a big wedding. Some of you may be listening, especially if you're not desi, questioning that, well, it's your wedding, you can do what you want. But the actual pressure of having a big wedding or a wedding that a family approves of is really intense when you're desi. That pressure still exists, and that specific pressure isn't spoken about enough. I hope what I said on this episode kind of made sense. It was really interesting to see. Like, there were moments where my sister, bless her, she was so stressed out. And I was like, a bride should not be this stressed out. And I'm so glad that I was there to support her through that and give her all the love and support that she needed. In the end, we did end up having a great time, and she's now with her husband and she's thriving. I'm so proud of her for taking that step and getting married and now living her best life. She's literally the sister that I never had, and she's probably one of the two people in my life who know me the best. So I'm very grateful. I can't believe I'm going to share this little story on my podcast, but there was a little situation at the wedding where there was this other Punjabi guy. Bless him. He was so sweet. And at the last event, what happened was there was no vegetarian options. I'm vegetarian and I'm not fussy when it comes to food, but I was just like, oh, okay, there's nothing to eat for me. It's fine. Like, I was just literally going to order some Deliveroo. But the groom's best mate was like, Aman, oh my God, we're so sorry. We're sorting out a vegetarian option for you. Don't worry. And he was saying, there's another person who's vegetarian. Do you mind if they sit and eat with you? I was like, absolutely, most welcome. So we had our own table. We sat down. The other person ended up being this Punjabi guy. And it was basically like, not a wedding proposal, but like a way for him to get to know me. And obviously, I just asked the typical questions of like, what's your name? What do you do? Blah, blah, blah. It was like an impromptu date, but not a date. And a couple of the girls at the wedding were seeing what was happening. It was so funny because I couldn't get out of it because I hadn't eaten. I was hungry. I needed to eat. And there was this guy who was kind of trying to get to know me. And I was like, as sweet as it is, like, bless his heart, but he was a little bit shorter than me. And I was just like, oh, cute. Also, I'm a lesbian. So that was quite interesting to have happened at a wedding. That's not happened to me before, where I was kind of low-key ambushed into sitting and getting to know someone while starving. So that was a very smart way, actually, to get to know someone at a wedding. Apart from that, in terms of my end of episode check-in, I am doing great. I am thriving. The last few months, especially July, were hell. I have said this already on a few of my past episodes, but I literally feel like a new person. What I went through July, oh my God. Oh my God. It was emotional turmoil. I do not know how I managed to get through that, but I did. And I'm thriving. I'm happy, smiling. Even my face, I feel glowy. I feel rejuvenated. I just feel happy and content. I feel ready to go back into employment. And that is something I am going to talk about on a future episode because it's been over a year that I've been unemployed, which is crazy to actually say out loud. I think unemployment has such an ugly connotation to it. But within this year, I have been able to thrive in ways I could not imagine. I have upskilled myself in ways that I never thought I would. And I'm still continuing to do that, which I'm really proud of. I've spent time with family, friends. I feel like all my chakras are aligned and I'm happy. I could not imagine going back to a job that made me miserable. I could not imagine anything better than where I am right now. Everything is happening exactly the way it needed to. And it's good. Me and my mum are thriving. I spoke to her a couple of days ago and her energy just seemed a little bit off. So I decided to surprise her in front of her workplace with some flowers and we went home and it was great. Really good quality time. So things with mum are really good. With my dad, I don't know. I just think he's been consistently crashing out this year. I think he's going through his I don't know, not quarter life, third quarter life crisis. I don't flipping know. Anyway, the man's been going through it. So I'm giving him a lot of grace. But the one thing I love about going back home is because I'm the oldest in the family and even though my dad thinks he's the man of the house, no, I'm the man of the house. Anything I say goes. So I have a lot of authority, I guess, when it comes to expressing my boundaries or having a difficult conversation. And I just basically stuck it on him. I was like, you need to sort yourself out. What are you doing? Like, life is too short. You need to spend time with me. Every time I reach out to you, I want to spend time with you. Every time you reach out to me, it's always about money and I don't like it. So sort yourself out. If you want to actually get to know me and have an interest in my life, you need to actually plan things. And I've had enough. And he was actually fully taking it in and taking accountability, which I do appreciate, but we'll see if he follows through. But in terms of the relationship, I feel like it has been techie since I've come out to him. But I think deep down, this man loves me unconditionally. He would do anything for me. And I know that. I just think I've kind of just given him the time to process and be like, okay, do your thing. But I feel now I'm just like, okay, it's been a while now. Let's go out. Like, come on now. Let's reestablish this relationship. Overall, I'm good. I'm thriving. My vision board is being checked off. So all is good. All is well. If you have made it to the end of this episode, I'm very grateful. Today's episode was very quick and short, just about a very niche topic that isn't spoken about enough. And I thought, do you know what? I'm going to talk about it because why not? I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope it sparked your mind to wonder if you want to have a big wedding or not. These things are important. Weddings are a very important part of life. And I think this generation, a lot of people are kind of steering away from having big weddings. I think people want to have more smaller and intimate weddings and kind of realize that it is kind of a massive waste of money. Like, is it really worth it? Is it? I don't know. You let me know. And on that note, I thank you for watching. I thank you for listening. Thank you. Dhanyavad. Sat Shri Akal. Bye.